The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official post-fight review for Terence Crawford versus Shawn Porter, and Terence Crawford gets the signature victory that his career desperately needed in a very fun, very entertaining, fun-filled fight. You know, he stopped Shawn Porter in the 10th round, and I was getting nervous because, you know, I thought Porter fought the damn perfect fight early in the fight. Before the stoppage, I actually had Porter up by a round before the stoppage. I had Porter up 5 rounds to 4 before the stoppage, but it was a really good fight. You know, you had Shawn Porter boxing a bit of a different fight, on his toes, bouncing in and out, feints, probing, using the jab, mixing in the straight right hand. Then every now and then when he closed that gap, he would use some of the Shawn Porter mauling tactics that we're oh so familiar with, right? And so this made Terence Crawford very uncomfortable early on. And Terence had to weather the storm early on. But as the fight wore along, you saw Terence eventually get his legs under him, settle into a good rhythm. You started to see Terence Crawford from the southpaw stance, a turning Porter, sharpshooting Porter, a counter-punching Porter to the body a lot. And there's been a lot of questions about Terence Crawford in his career. There's been a lot of things that people just question about how good is he really. A lot of people may say that don't like him. They may say, well, in this fight he got exposed, but no, he didn't get exposed in this fight. I thought Terence Crawford boxed beautifully in this fight. I love the patience of Terence Crawford. I love the professional traits that he showed in this fight, because, you know, when Porter was outboxing him early, he could have, you know, got down on himself or deviated from the game plan, but he trusted in his skills, and he really trusted in knowing what Porter does wrong as fights go on, and he made him pay for it. He parried Porter through a straight right hand. He caught it with the left hand, and then Porter threw, I think it was a left hook. He slipped it, and then he came and he threw I think it was an uppercut or a straight, and he dropped him for the first knockdown. The second knockdown, he dropped him with like it was a right hook out of the southpaw stance. So, beautiful fight. I mean, Shawn Porter is a world-class fighter, a true throwback fighter, a legend of the sport, in my opinion. I look at Shawn Porter as a legend. I don't care how many losses he got. He is a legend because every time he goes out there, he gives you his heart, soul, guts, everything you could possibly want. And give all respect to him for another great night of boxing. I'll always be a Shawn Porter fan. And as for Terence Crawford, let there be no debates, let there be no qualms, let there be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, 2 years ago, Errol Spence stopped Shawn Porter, and Errol Spence is traditionally a southpaw. Terence Crawford's primarily an orthodox fighter, but he can switch, and he boxed most of his fight in the southpaw stance. So he boxed pretty much this entire fight in his secondary stance. And he showed Errol Spence Jr. how it's done. He showed Errol Spence how you beat Shawn Porter, how you stop Shawn Porter. He's not even a primarily a southpaw, and he's a better southpaw than Errol Spence. So I don't want to hear it. And look, when the reality hit Errol Spence that this motherfucker just knocked out Shawn Porter, and that you're gonna have to probably more likely fight him next, what did Errol Spence do? He decided to walk right out the arena with his entourage. Walk right out the arena. And you could see on his face the reality setting in that, you know, he can't run. He can't, as he said oh so eloquently a couple years ago, he can't take the easy road. You know, the walls are getting shorter and shorter, and they're starting to cave in on Errol Spence. And Errol Spence at some point in time is going to have to come see that bad motherfucker from Omaha, Nebraska. You know what I'm saying? So we need that fight. Like, boxing needs that fight. There's no reason for Errol Spence to be in a witness protection program to duck Terence Crawford anymore. That was his last fight with Top Rank and Bob Arum. So he's a free agent now. Maybe he fights Josh Taylor, maybe not. But Errol Spence is beginning to run out of excuses. He's ran out of opponents that people want to see more than Crawford. He's running out of excuses. And you know what he did? He ran out the fucking arena when Terence Crawford knocked out Shawn Porter, because he was in there with Shawn Porter. So he knows the quality of fighter Shawn Porter is. And he dropped him once in that fight, and he knows the quality he had to show to drop him once. But for Terence Crawford to do it twice in the same round and stop him in the championship rounds, oh my God. put some respect on his name. Put some respect on, just everything Terence Crawford brings to the sport of boxing. Because truthfully speaking, motherfucking Terence Crawford is boxing. You can't even talk about the sport of boxing right now without talking about Terence Crawford, because every time he goes out there, he delivers. It don't matter if it's a short, compact fighter like Porter. It don't matter if it's a long, rangy fighter like Postal. Whoever you put in front of him, Terence Crawford's going to find a way to beat them. And that's what makes a great fighter. Like Stephen Breadman Edwards said in an interview I watched on YSM Sports Media earlier today, Terence Crawford comes through in 99% of the moments where fighters don't come through, and that makes him a special fighter, So many things happen with this fight. Crawford stops Porter in the 10th round, becoming the first man to do so, which is no small feat because Porter's been in there with Kell Brook in his prime, Keith Thurp in his prime, Danny Garcia, Spence, and now Crawford. And for him to be the first guy to do that, that's a big feather in his cap. So, good on him. That happened. Errol Spence was ringside at the fight. He walked out the arena. And then probably the most disgraceful thing I've seen in boxing, one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen in boxing, was Kenny Porter. Kenny Porter, Shawn Porter might have lost the fight, but he isn't the loser tonight. The fans aren't the loser tonight. Terence Crawford's not the loser tonight. Nobody is a loser tonight except you. You are the only one tonight that's a loser, straight up. Because the way you disrespected your son and humiliated him on pay-per-view in front of the whole world is absolutely shambolic. Just shambolic. The most shambolic thing I've ever seen. Shawn Porter, listen, maybe he's got a point. Maybe Shawn Porter didn't train the hardest. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I was there and that I know what happened, because only he knows that and only Porter knows that. So that's not for me to sit there act like I know. That's not even relevant to the point. The point is, when they asked Porter about you stopping the fight, he didn't say, oh, my dad was wrong. My dad should have did this. My dad should have did that. No, he said my dad did what he thought was right. And he defended you. He didn't go out of his way to publicly humiliate you. He was classy in his response and how in protecting your reputation. But when it came time for you to do the same for your son, you did not have your son's back the way your son had your back. You decided to question this man's preparation, which maybe there was a chink in his preparation. Only you know that. But you don't have those conversations in public and humiliate him in front of the whole world. You have them in private where you can hash things out and you don't have to air out your dirty laundry. So I really feel like with Kenny Porter, right? Like, this is my opinion. I'm speaking my mind. People get mad. I don't care who gets mad. Kenny Porter has been the beneficiary of a great career from Shawn Porter. He's made a lot of money being the trainer of Shawn Porter and being the father of Shawn Porter. And sometimes in life, when you make a lot of money and you achieve status in this world, you get a big head and you get a big ego. And I think, if anything, he didn't stop that fight for Porter tonight because of Porter's preparation. It didn't have anything to do with Porter being hurt, because he was hurt, but I think he started enough to continue. He stopped that fight because of his ego, and that's the most disgusting thing about this fight. So I don't know what's gonna happen. If I was Shawn, I know it's your father, but man, he disrespected the hell out of him. Because listen, it's one thing to say he didn't do this right, he didn't do that right, he made a mistake in the ring. Oh, you can say those things, but to question the man's preparation for the fight in front of the whole world, classless, tasteless. Especially when you talk about someone like Shawn Porter, who has been the consummate professional, who has been someone that fights everyone. I'm not there all the time, so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know more than Kenny Porter, because I don't. But from the outside looking in, it looks like Shawn Porter is one of the most professional fighters in the sport of boxing. So for you to sit here and throw his name in the dirt and try to destroy his reputation that he's built up all these years, it's just, to me, I can't use any other word than classless, tasteless, and unprofessional. Unprofessional. And I don't care if someone gets pissed off about that. I don't care if somebody sends him this video and he gets pissed off about it. It's the truth, and he needs to hear it. Not just from me, but from many people in the boxing world. You know what I'm saying? So disappointed in Kenny Porter. Hopefully he can repent for that and they can hash that out, because that was a complete shit show what happened with him and Shawn Porter. But yeah, so many things happening. So many things. Crawford knocking a guy out, Spence leaving the ring, Kenny Porter throwing his son under the bus. It's like a one big soap opera, this fight tonight, and it really made up for what was a lackluster undercard. But Terence Crawford, give him his flowers. Give him his flowers. He's 38-0. He's one of the pound-for-pound best, if not the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. That's up for interpretation, but a great fighter, and you guys gotta appreciate what you're watching, because that was a great Shawn Porter he fought tonight. And I would say that was one of the most determined versions of Shawn Porter he ever fought tonight, irrespective of what Kenny Porter says. That's what I believe. That's what I choose to believe, and I stand on that. And he faced some adversity, you know, like many Porter opponents do. But when it came time to show the extra bit of quality in the rounds that mattered the most, those championship rounds, Terence Crawford showed the extra bit of quality, and he showed why he's arguably the best fighter in the world. He showed why he's the #1 welterweight in the world, and he showed you again why Errol Spence ran from him all these years, why Errol Spence told him to his face all these years he'd rather take the easy road, and why Errol Spence walked the fuck up out that arena when he got hit with the harsh reality that Terence Crawford is knocking right on his door. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Terence Crawford gets a 10th round stoppage in a classic fight, a great fight. Much respect to Shawn Porter. Keep your head up. You know, a big wag of the finger goes to Kenny Porter, and a big salute goes to Terence Crawford for putting on a great performance in a signature moment in his career. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below about, you know, Spence leaving the arena, Kenny Porter throwing Shawn's name under the bus, and ultimately Terence Crawford's performance. Give me your thoughts on all those in the comments. All comments are welcome. I will read them all. And yeah, like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.